Well, and now, Fred Dinenage and David Bobin. They've got a galaxy of shooting stars that I promised you earlier, all for this week's edition of Southport.
Welcome to you on Southport tonight, the big names and the big games in a big week of sport for the South.
Yes, tonight we've golf, motor racing and cricket, plus a look at racing and angling.
In golf we meet some of the star names, including Britain's Tony Jacklin in this week's British Open at Sandwich.
In motor racing, Pagham's John Watson, second in the recent French Grand Prix, talks about Saturday's British Grand Prix.
And in cricket, Hampshire skipper Nick Pocock talks about the county's rise to the top of the championship table and about this week's big matches at Portsmouth. But it's with golf that we open in this week's British Open, which starts on Thursday at the Royal St George's Club at Sandwich in Kent, the first time this great event has been staged in the South for 32 years. This report from Mike Field.
Well, already you can almost touch the atmosphere here at St George's, although it's 3 full days before the championships start. Most of the great names of golf have already arrived, and indeed many of them have tested the course. As you can see behind me, Tony Jacklin is out. We've already seen Greg Norman, we've already seen Seve Ballesteros, and most of the other great names. Tom Watson, Lee Trevino, they're just about to try out the course, and come Sunday, they all hope that they'll be holding that unique trophy in one hand and a cheque for £25,000 in the other.
One of the first players to arrive at St George's for practice was the quiet man of golf, David Graham. The 35-year-old Australian already has the American Open title under his belt this year, and his control and determination make him a major contender and so achieve the game's great double. It's the first time he's played at Sandwich, but he's confident the course will suit him and he'll certainly enjoy the pressure. And pressure is certainly what Seve Ballesteros will be under this week. He's peaking at the right time, having just won the Swedish Open, and he seems to be regaining the attacking panache that won in the English Open in 1979 and the US Masters last year. And what about British hopes? Well, Tony Jacklin was our last winner way back in 1969. He's now 37 and has been in the doldrums in recent years, but he started to win again, and he was certainly in a happy and relaxed mood when I spoke to him before practice.
What about the British challenge? How realistic is it?
Oh, it's tough. It's a tough one, that, and you know, I would never knock British golf ever, and certainly European golf, because I believe we've proven in the last 5 or 6 years that we've got a lot of talent over here. There's no question. It's just when it comes to an Open, you start to wonder whether anybody has the enough. I wonder when it comes to background in terms of the mental hardness that you need to win an Open. You don't fluke Open wins. You know, it all happens so slowly in golf, and you feel it developing. And if you're not ready for it, something bad's going to happen before you get down to the last 3 or 4 holes. I think Faldo plays well enough. Sandy Lyle certainly plays well enough. Whether Sandy Lyle has the mental capacity to go through with it and do it, I don't know, because I don't think he's played enough golf in America to harden himself mentally. Tony Jacklin could do quite well.
There's a fella called Jacklin.
Well, I'm playing quite well, and I'm happier mentally than I've been for a long time, confident. But it's very much a question of positioning yourself and getting yourself into. I'm in a good frame of mind right now. I hope to be in a good frame of mind on Thursday morning or afternoon when I tee off. It's a question of whether you get the breaks, whether you get into a nice position after the first round. So many things, so many variables, and to think about it and to contemplate it too much is a waste of energy, quite honestly. It's interesting to chat and little conversations like we're having now, but to give it too much thought is not good. So we shall just continue to try and prepare properly and take what comes.
You'd like to win at Sandwich?
Oh, of course.
Reporting from Sandwich, and there'll be a special programme on the Open on Wednesday night at 6:30 called Open Sandwich. We're now on to cricket, and even though Hampshire haven't been in action in the county championship today, A look at this morning's papers confirmed a fact that's astonished even many of their most loyal supporters. Hampshire top just 4 weeks after being bottom. And bottom, of course, was where they finished last season. Well, it's been a great revival, and much of that credit must go to the man who's with us now in the South Sports studio, the Hampshire skipper, Nick Pocock.
Nick, it really has been quite a remarkable revival. Is it possible to put your finger on the cause or indeed causes of the revival?
I think basically over what we had last year is the overseas players, the 2 West Indians, and there's no doubt about it that they've made an enormous difference to our overall results and the morale of the side, and the fact that we now know that we've got the big tanks which the other sides had against us last year.
Yeah.
That was the difficult thing about last year. It was very difficult ever to get onto the attack. This year, it's so much easier. Gordon Greenwich is scoring runs very quickly, which is making it easier for the other batsmen. And then Malcolm Marshall is knocking a few batsmen over, and the other bowlers are feeding off him, and they're bowling superbly.
And as well, one shouldn't underestimate your own contribution as captain of the side, because in fact you took over the county at rather a difficult time, did you not?
Yes, it was difficult. I think everyone realised that we'd had too many senior players leaving in too short a time, which left us with a rather difficult position of bringing in 4 or 5 youngsters who are totally inexperienced. And I think we went through the sort of season that nobody particularly enjoyed, but in fact, in my view, it's made a terrific difference to how quickly these players have matured, and I think we're reaping the benefit this season.
Let me put you on the spot if I can and ask you the question that you can't really answer, I suppose, but can Hampshire keep it up? Can you win the county championship?
I have the odd bet, and I must say that I think it depends entirely on, well, a lot on our spinners. I think in the last 6 weeks or so of the season, we will be turning to our spinners who've come very little into the game so far. And it also depends very much on the 2 games coming up at Portsmouth.
I was going to say, because this, of course, is Portsmouth week. On Wednesday, you start the county championship game at the United Services Ground against Derbyshire.
That's right.
And on Saturday, start the match against Surrey. 2 vital matches, aren't they?
Yes, I mean, if one can pick up 40 points or so from those, then there really will be a gap beginning to... At the moment, everybody's pretty close, and, you know, we've just got the edge. But if one can pick up 2 wins from there, then you know, we'll be hard to catch.
Yes.
And, you know, let's hope so. We're playing very well at the moment.
And a quick word about the John player. Defeat, of course, yesterday against Worcestershire, but again, another important match next Sunday at Southampton.
Yes, I mean, we're not out of that yet. It was sad to lose yesterday, because that would have put us into 2nd place, but we're still in touch. And I'm hopeful there, too.
And what about Nick Pocock's own personal ambitions?
Personally, I'd love to win the championship. I think that would be a great thrill, and win the NatWest for the members. I think the members they particularly enjoy that competition, and we've never done particularly well in it. So it'd be a great thrill to be there on September the 5th and miss my sister's marriage.
Nick, good luck to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Frank. Thank you.
Nick Pocock, and it's good to see Hampshire doing so well. So Hampshire bang on form at the moment. But our racing expert, John Tyrrell, well, he's still struggling to find those long-shot winners of old. John, a little bit unlucky last week with a 2nd and a 3rd, but the intrepid Tyrrell presses on, and these are his selections for this week. First of all, the midweek winner, a horse called Big Pal, in the 3:45 tomorrow at Folkestone. And then on Saturday, the Saturday special, a horse called Barwin, and that's in the 3 o'clock at Newmarket.
Right, well now, angling, and it took a detective to find what fish there were at the Langstone heat of the Southern Television Sea Angling Championship yesterday. DC Stephen Croft from Fareham, fishing for the Hampshire Police Sports and Social Club, collared 7 dogfish and a spotted ray, giving him the winning weight of 13 pounds 4 ounces. Runner-up was Alan Chesney from East Morden near Wareham. His catch weighed 12 pounds 4 ounces. Alan and Stephen now take the last 2 places in the finals, which are being fished off County Cork in September.
On to Speedway, and the Reading star Tony Briggs is sadly still poorly in the intensive care unit of a Warwickshire hospital after breaking his neck in a crash at Coventry on Saturday. A hospital spokesman said today he is quite badly hurt and will be here for some weeks.
And we wish him well. But now, motor racing and Saturday's British Grand Prix at Silverstone. And British hopes of a home victory were boosted on Friday when John Watson recorded the fastest time on the final test day. Watson, who was second in the recent French Grand Prix, could be hitting peak form at precisely the right time. David went to Pagham in Sussex today to talk with John Watson at his home.
John Watson, at the age of 35, could well be classified as a veteran of the Formula One scene. Currently relaxing at his home before the drama of Silverstone, Watson is well aware of the pressure on him to win the British Grand Prix, a victory that would give him only his second ever Grand Prix success, his previous win coming in Austria back in 1976. But despite all the speculation, informed and otherwise, Watson remains as calm as ever.
Well, I've been in it a long time. I don't think I'm a veteran in age, but I think, what, 8 or 9 seasons now of Grand Prix racing begins to make you one of the more mature members of this elite group.
Do you feel perhaps that the reflexes are slowing down a little bit?
No, I don't think so. I read, in fact, in a newspaper at the weekend that probably they are slowing down, but there are a lot of people my age or older than me who are further ahead in the championship, so I think I've got a bit of promise left yet.
How do you feel about going into this coming Grand Prix at Silverstone? Because obviously your form suggests that you're in with a very good chance. You were third in Spain, second in France. Logically, that suggests perhaps a win at Silverstone.
Well, yes, it's difficult. It's going to be a very hard race for many reasons, but it's my home Grand Prix. Marlboro sponsor it. They sponsor my team, and they're my personal sponsor, so there's a lot of incentive to do well, and I know that the team are working very, very hard indeed to try and give me the best possible chance in this race.
What would it mean to you to win? Because, John, again, over, what, 115 Grand Prix, you've only ever had one victory back in '76 in Austria.
It would mean a lot. It'd probably be, I think, the high point of my career to win at Silverstone, and be a very emotional event, particularly in front of your home crowd. And I can't really imagine it. I'd like to have it happen. I think it'd be just very exciting.
Of course, ironically, the whole thing has turned pretty well full circle, because about 12 months ago, you were having just about your worst ever spell in Formula One racing, weren't you, when you failed to qualify at Monaco?
Indeed, last year was the low point of my Grand Prix career, of my motor racing career. And within the space of a year, there's been a complete turnaround and change around from what existed in my team last year to what exists today. And I'm very pleased to see the change, frankly.
All right, finally then, John, the $64,000 question. Can you win at Silverstone?
Yes, and a $64,000 answer.
A very positive John Watson. We wish him well at Silverstone, as indeed we do with Tolman's Derek Warwick, who lives, of course, at Petersfield. It'd be nice to see the Tolman team qualify for their home Grand Prix. Well, finally tonight, the latest cricket score, because they don't finish till 7, down at Taunton, where Sussex are playing Somerset. Somerset are 104 and 268 for 5. That's the latest score. Sussex earlier today, 233 all out in their first innings. That's it. Now back to Cliff.
And I've just been told that the petrol company in which we all have a share have just announced that BP, that is, increasing their petrol price of all grades of petrol to retailers from midnight tomorrow, adding about 8p to pump price. So BP puts up its prices by 8p. Well, we'll be on our bikes, I think, tomorrow night. We'll be here at 6 o'clock. We hope you'll be there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight, and I hope you'll join day by day tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Till then, from all of us, good night.